without further delay, Konstantinos, the
Yes.
panel is yours.
Thank you.
Make it as hot as possible,
Yeah.
please.
The panel session, this panel session, will emphasize the importance of crew retention and implementing practices to ensure their long-term commitment. What we aim to do today is we developed some specific and specialized questions for each panelist based on their area of specialization, so we can have a thorough overview of the crew matters from various sides. So I will start with Mr. Petros Achtypis, who is the founder and CEO Prevention C, with the first question. Petros, I saw on your website, don't cure, prevent, which personally it's a pragmatistic motto, which I personally admire and I use over my business scope all this time. Based on your services and software provision and know-how, how you recommend and what you recommend to potential, let me say, ship owners or your existing clients, what tools mainly to monitor their seafarer happiness index and also to measure their pool coherence?
Good morning, first of all.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here. It's a lovely event. I'm very happy to be here today. Actually, I'm one of the many people that wear a blue tie. I'm not wearing a yellow blouse, so I hope with my insights and thoughts, I will give some useful feedback. I heard from, I want to make a small parenthesis, only for 2 minutes. I heard people before discussing about human element, which is a great and very important parameter in our maritime business. I remember 10 years ago when we started Prevention at Sea as a company, and I was visiting a client back then. They were managing bulk carriers, if I remember well. I started talking about human element, and the answer I got back then was, you know, Petros, this is not for us. This is for the tanker people. It's not for us. So why I'm saying that is that we have made all these 10 years a great evolvement. And now I'm very happy to see that people are discussing about human element, and they understand the real value and the importance of this parameter. And what is a human element? Because we as a company work all the time revolving around the human element. We know that people in forums talk about human element, we discuss about it, but sometimes it's not clear to us what is a human element. So in a nutshell, human element is the way we behave, the way we think, the way we work with other people, is our risk perception. I heard before about risk perception. But having, let's say, risk assessments on board, is it enough? To my eyes, no. Why? Because risk perception is very subjective. Just to give you an example, my mobile device is very important for me. So according to my risk perception, it's very important. So if it was in danger, I would take care of it. To you, though, my mobile is not important. Okay? And vice versa, because it has my contact details, not yours. So it's not important for you. So our risk perception is completely different.
For our wifeys, you know.
for everyone. So what I want to say is that you mentioned happiness index. So happiness index is something subjective. It is where I'm going. But there are for sure parameters around it that we can ensure that once these parameters are in the right place, then happiness is also there. And from my involvement with clients over the 10 years in the industry, one of the major parameters is safety, for example. I mean, you cannot be in a working place happy if you are not first feeling safe. Because especially on board the ship, you have 25, 50 people, let's say, from different nationality, from different mindset, from different experience, everything. So you care about it, and you want to feel safe, not only how you will behaving safely on board, but also how the others behave safely. So what we do as a company is that we offer kind of assessments to ensure that all the people are safe, they behave safely on board ships. We have also some virtual reality tools that we do as well ensure how people behave, and we want to measure this, and this is measurable actually. And what we are trying to do is to say to the industry that, guys, we all know that STCW training, for example, which is common, maybe it's not enough now. We have to do something more. This is the basis that we have to start build on. It's not something that we have to trust. We have certificates, but how we put actually in practice our knowledge, our experience, how we behave is completely different. And I think this is something that we have to, everybody take into account.
Apart from guiding the ship management company to cut down, let me say, the procedures and the lot of text in their manuals, you provide also, let me say, numbers and figures that they can measure what they do. Yes, because numbers prove the concept. A second question is, if a ship operator aims to go digital to monitor the reflection of the crew matters, especially for compliance and safety, as you said, how would your good management consultant propose such a change in their management concept and structure, which adheres to today's difficulty of the well-known resistance to change?
Resistance to change is another key phrase, actually.
How you persuade them in few words
we
to change their mindset and follow from the best practices?
I think it's something that it's not only my thought. I think everybody's thinking that resistance is everywhere. Especially in our industry, the maritime industry, we see a lot of resistance, which is, to my eyes, because I always try to put myself on the shoes of the other side, sometimes it's logical to happen. I mean, why somebody will depart from their comfort zone just because we present something to them, and we claim that this is useful for you to change. So what we have to do as vendors is we have to prove the added value, first of all. I see that companies like to invest, they want to invest, but only when they understand in simple words what is the added value for them and also for the people on board. Once we do that, of course they must be also a little bit open-minded, because we have seen from the experience again that when you introduce something new, the resistance is the first
barrier.
The first barrier, always. And just to give you an example, we as a company, we provide this electronic logbook. Okay? We started in 2016, and only it took us 3 years to convince the industry that the, let's say, for example, oil record book can be digital on board ships. So imagine now that we are
be accepted by the flag states, blah blah blah.
So imagine now that we start discussing about behavioral competency, safety competency on board, how we assess this, how we improve this, how we can enhance safety behavior on board. These are all words completely new to us. They are introduced by organizations, standards like CIRE 2, OCIMF, Intertanko. So sooner or later, they will be part of our life. So this is what we need to do. We have to be open-minded, but also we as companies have to present in a nice and simple way the added value. Only in this way, companies will invest on that.
Yeah, correct. Thank you. I will move to David. In your website, I went through, it says, designed to enable a mobile world and keep mariners always connected. It's a partial description of your organization's description of services, and also you present it, and we know that it's a very big cornerstone for the welfare and the new regulations. But by providing this mobility and connectivity, also create risks. such as spread of information and global news, which may be bad news, as we see today and we face and we all experience, like the wars, the Gaza war, the Ukraine war, etc. How do you secure and guide your clients, meaning ship operators mainly, to periods and phases of global turmoil, geopolitical tensions, wars, high-risk areas, and filter the information that may be exchanged with the onboard seafarers? Because many companies do not want all the information go on board the ships. Yeah. How you manage to do this in order not to have, let me say, risks in the temperament and psychology of the crew?
Thank you. First, let me just tie a comment to the previous discussion. It just reminded me of something a professor once told me. It's that people don't resist change, they resist being changed. Everybody wants to change, they just don't want to be forced. So, just a comment. Yeah. On the other question, when I read your question, I started thinking, is it fair? Is it fair that we want to control the mindset of this particular crew or this particular staff group? Do we think about imposing those kinds of mind control features and facilities on other members of staff? I don't know. It's a big question, and we had dinner last night with a customer who has been 39 years at sea, and he certainly didn't want his mind controlled. But at the same time, he understood where the question was coming from. You don't want something really, really bad news to happen to a person who is just about to make a critical maneuver.
I'm asking this question because, you know, different vessels, they have different trade routes. Some trade routes are very crazy, let me say, concerning the time. Every 2 days, every 3 days, they have to go to ports. So the people are extremely tired. And on the other side, you have big vessels that they need 30 or 40 days to reach a port. And the people are isolated, so they want to read more information, what happens to the world, etc. But we saw cases, and I read some PNI reports, that they had to do with this information that is now freely and more convenient based on the past.
Let me answer your actual question. Let me answer your actual question because I do have an answer for it. There are two things that we can do to help. First of all, we can make a reliable, unbiased news source available to the crew with our Newslink service. We've been, as I mentioned, doing this for many, many years, and we have a team of 30 editors. We don't censor, but we do curate. So meaning we pick news from reliable sources, the top press agencies in the world that are reliable. And we do filter out, you could say, stories that could cause turmoil in a multicultural environment on board. So that's one thing we can do. The other thing is technologically, we can help by imposing filters on what content can be accessed. Because let's face it, when you give people access to the internet, there's very little limit to what information they can find. But you can block certain categories. They say, I don't want them to access adult content, because if they're calling on ports in Singapore, or Saudi Arabia, or Canada even, there might be repercussions if such content is found on board.
Because many crew, there were many claims concerning the information they received, you know, especially Ukrainians, etc., that they were jumping off the ships, blah, blah, blah. However...
that specifically, we are actually sourcing information from the Ukrainian news agents to
that's why
make sure that...
I was, let me say, focused on how to filter, because many companies that they have Ukrainians or Russians on board, they want to filter the information.
And we had that request. We had that request from a huge ship manager saying, we don't want you to provide news from Russia. And we said, well, we're not a censor. We have Russian seafarers. They have just as much right to receive news from home. But we can filter out the stories that are completely propaganda.
However, when they have internet and when they go to the ports, they can go somewhere else and find the information. But the thing is, when they're on board and doing the operation. Question 2. What are the challenges that arise from providing connectivity and mobility services to seafarers, and what are the advantages and best practices based on the past?
I think the advantages are obvious and many. We've talked about a few of them: reducing isolation, enabling people to get on with their private lives while they're on board, basically run their private banking, stay in touch with the family and friends but also give them a route to further education if they want to do that while on board, preparing for life after sea.
Yeah. And e-learning,
courses, e-learning, things like that. That's all enabled by connectivity.
What you see mainly, ship owners with new-aged vessels placing your services and internet connectivity, or also ship owners and ship managers with old vessels?
I think both. You see, with the newest services.
Let's say if you have to say one particular group, which group you believe invests more in this connectivity?
There's always been like a hierarchy in spending, I think probably reflecting the requirements for retention on board. I mean, gas tankers, tankers, then container vessels, and then bulk carriers. Probably that's kind of the order of, but of course there's differences between companies. Some companies have different sets of values than others, and they have a very high level of
just an
welfare.
outlook to see how the so now I would go to Captain Sokratis Tigkos, who is the DPA, CSO, and crew and marine manager of Omicron Shipmanagement. Sokratis, I would like to ask you, what are the oxymoron cases that you may highlight that may deteriorate crew retention with continuous upskilling and reskilling? How do upskilling and reskilling work in turbulent times of geopolitical tensions and under management's budgetary constraints?
First of all, thank you for the invitation. To your question, I have the feeling that we make the crew sad. The training and the upskilling is extremely important because, of course, we have to improve the skills and to comply with the requirements. And that is where we lose the point sometimes. What I mean, we focus so much on that. And let me remind you that crew, they have vacation for about 3 or 4 months, something like this. So what we do, we steal a whole month every time of their vacation, every year, because we don't have the trainings 2024, and that's all. We will do it next year, and after 2 years, and after 3 years. So we start bombing the crew with trainings because we have to do it. We have to do the upskill and the reskill. And as a result, we have seamen goes on board already tired because actually they have less free time for vacation, and they worked already 1 month before they go on board. At the same time, we, the companies, we think that we create scientists. We think that we have on board NASA guys. And we start awaiting the best performance to everything. At the same time, the crew are already tired. And they feel, boring to listen again and again and again for the trainings. They have to listen every time that they must learn something more, that they need another certificate because the RITE, because the vetting, because class, whatever. So we start pressure them. We pressure the crew for everything. Prepare your cargo holds within 2 days. Prepare for vetting with 2 days notice. Prepare for same day, for port state, for flank inspection, for superintendent, for everything. So we think that we...
And fill in also the ISM control documents.
Of course, the paperwork, of course. So we act like we have on board superheroes, but we don't. Actually, our try to upgrade their skills, it looks to be with the wrong way. So at the same time, the crew, they just take the certificates, they comply with the requirements. But what we have break psychology, we have unhappy crew, we have increasement to suicide attempts. Okay, and actually, after 1 year, or 2 years, or 3 years, the seaman will leave us. He will change company. And we will have the impression that he changed company because of the salary. No, He didn't change company because of salary. He changed because we create for him a toxic environment. He don't feel safe, he don't feel member for the company, and he decided to change.
Yep.
The thing is that the other company most probably will have the same policy. And after 2 years, he will change again. And after I will receive a CV, they say, okay, Sokratis, why you change the last 10 years 5 companies? We need to keep in our mind that if we need a crew to be 10, we must be at least 9.
Yeah.
Okay, if our company is 5, you don't have the right to ask for the perfect crew.
Of course.
So we have to put in our mentality in order to improve the way of the reskilling and our retention rate that the crew choose the companies. Few years ago, companies choose crew. Now this is finished, especially after pandemic. So we have to keep in our mind that if we need to continue upgrade the skills of the crew,
Yep.
and our retention rate, we have to do it with such way like to discuss with our family. This is my personal opinion.
Thank you. Second question, but you answered already because I was going to ask about the challenges. So I will have to move to the next person because you answered also the second question. But I would like to comment on this. I fully agree with you, but basically, apart from these things that you correctly mentioned, I would like to add 2 more problems that we see as crew managers. If you don't have proactive scheduling, and if you don't have the tendency to minimize your bureaucracy as a ship management company, as you mentioned previously, because there are some companies that they have so many ISM control documents that the seafarers become, let me say, paper fillers instead of seafarers on board. So these things have to change from my point of view in order to keep your crew.
Sure, yeah. If you allow me 1 minute, pre-active and pre-actions are very important, okay?
Yeah.
But especially the last 5 years, always we try in advance to prepare our plan. 1 month, 2 months, sometimes 3 months in advance. The last 5 years, all our schedules were just to the garbage. We have the pandemic,
they were COVID times, but generally, what I have seen in the market, the most they don't do proactive scheduling.
Yes.
They do last minute or last 1 month. So this do not give security to the seafarer that I will find a job, because the seafarer has a family, he has to feed his kids, he has expenses. They invest lately in building things, real estate in their country.
Actually,
so they have the banks, they have all these things.
Once they disembark,
they cannot wait for the ship owner to say, now I want you. They want to know
specific plan.
Yes.
A specific plan. Because actually, the day that they come back in Greece or Manila or Ukraine, depending the nationality, actually they have zero work. They have zero incomes. It's like.
And one huge mistake that is done lately by the Greek ship owners mainly is that they didn't do that in the past. Is that they don't send representatives often on board ships. They send once upon a time.
Agree.
Because of the expenses, etc., etc. I believe the seafarers need a human interaction and point of reference.
Especially if your crew is not Greek. If we are talking for Greek companies, you have the Greek guys here. But if you have Filipino crew or India crew or whatever, yes, you must be there sometimes. Yeah.
So now Nikos Chanos, crew manager at Seaven. How can a ship operator manage different nationalities and their retention if their fleet is scattered in different areas and especially continents? What are the challenges, risks, and best practices?
Good morning. Before giving my insight, I want to thank you for the invitation, and I want to thank everybody for being here with us today. Indeed, if you have a fleet spread across around various continents, there are some challenges here. I will mention for now the time difference that might have, that might cause some delays in the operations, between the office and the vessel, I mean. A best practice to avoid this, it's either having a duty phone at any time just to give some solution, or to have assigned operators of each vessel. Most of the companies, they are doing that already. It's not something new to us. Now, if you are using multinational crews on board each vessel, that might cause difficulties in communication between the crew, and we might have some cultural differences there. What can you do there this might cause the decrease of the operation efficiency, and a good practice to avoid all this, it's something that the most companies are doing, that is not placing more than two or three nationalities on board each vessel. So you are keeping the chemistry in good level on that. You can provide some well-being programs on board the vessel, what I can think right now. Even in the briefing procedures, you might probably have a virtual team building call, let's say, in order to meet each other, the crew members before joining the vessel, etc. Is what I can think now. We need also to consider, and we need to come back again to a solid recruitment process from our side, and to be able to identify people with empathy and good characteristic personal attributes, which you need a bit of luck to do that.
Yeah.
Also.
Okay. Question 2, what are the best practices for understanding the psychology of the crew members and handling unexpected challenges on board?
From my personal experience, it's crucial to have constant communication with all crews on board, and I mean with all
ranks,
officers, ratings, everybody. Something that I do daily in my job, and I believe that I have solved many issues that we could find.
Must be above heads.
Yes. So I believe this is very important.
Gather information.
Gather
for example,
information, and you need to promote.
What to change on board, etc., so you can have a feedback from all ranks through debriefing reports.
You need to promote open dialogue with the people and be there to listen to their problems and provide also solutions if you can do it. Is what I think. This is the most important for me.
Okay, thank you, Nico. Now, Maria, it's your turn. Maria Papadopoulou, crew manager of Aerial Shipmanagement. So, sophisticated crew management could enhance crew quality, retention, and coherence. Based on your experience, what are the basic pillars that a digitalized system provides for optimum crew management to attain an optimum allocation of the human resources?
Good morning, everybody, again. Thank you for asking this question and give me the chance to share with you that the digitalized system assists us in having lined up sufficient number of capable crew members ready to depart just in case there is any urgent situation or on normal situation. The system should be able to provide all the information, dispatch information to their mobiles, such as the flight tickets, the OK to board, visa, maybe the contract, to read it well in advance prior signed and proceed to the vessel. Furthermore, through the system, the crew members should be able to deliver in their mobiles the IMS of the company, so they will be able to read it at their convenience and ready to reply to any inspection. Furthermore, through to this program, it will be able to line up crew bases to their characters, habits, experience and culture. Sometimes we're checking also the religion. It is a matter that sometimes creates some problems on board. And furthermore, last but not least, assist us to control, to make the crew changes and keep the yearly budget within the limits. Something it's very impossible without any other...
documented evidence for your
exactly.
What you
exactly.
did,
What you did,
cost.
how you did it, why does this cost so much?
Yeah.
It's something that assists us a lot.
Nice. And the second question, prior going to the general questions for all the panelists, is what are the basic values that a ship management company should possess to attract talent and loyal seafarers? Is proactiveness in predetermined processes more valuable than finding the best cure?
A seaman should feel confident and secure for his future. Proper and timely scheduling will give to all parties the opportunity to choose the best seaman for the specific rank and vessel and avoid last-minute arrangements. Avoiding the last-minute arrangements, we will keep the cost within budget and the seafarers happy, as they will know well in advance how long they will spend vacation time with their family and how long they will be on board. So they will make proper schedule for their life, investment.
Strike a balance between life and work.
Life and work, exactly. Furthermore, the briefing and debriefing meetings, it is another special session that will assist both parties, company and the seafarers, to identify any kind of weaknesses and schedule the proper training, discuss dissatisfaction or whatever, what we have to communicate with the crew, and the crew would like to communicate with the company. Furthermore, we have to make very clear to the new generation that we will provide career path and to make them very clear and ensure them that we monitor very carefully the promotion procedure and to ensure them that we will give them the opportunity to build their career and climb to higher ranks and become the future officers on board the vessels.
Thank you. One point here, just a statement of what we have seen and discussed with various companies and also companies like ourselves, is that we have to teach, allow me to say, the seafarers that the appraisal is not a judging instrument.
Of course.
And is an instrument to identify weaknesses and areas for improvement in order for us to train them and upskill them.
Exactly.
And also to connect this thing with the debriefing also.
Exactly.
In order to make also a self-check to our company, what we do wrong, what we do good, how the people take it. Now we are going to have two general questions from every member, every panelist, that I believe everybody would like to hear. Should we find an artificial intelligence application soon for crew management practice? If yes, where and how you believe? If not, please state the reasons for the resistance. Let's go one by one.
Well, I think this is something that already happening. We see a lot of companies that use AI. It's the new trend of our times, let's say. We do as well. We test AI in a number of cases. So I think there is no other way but moving there. This is the correct direction. AI is a useful tool. It's not maybe accurate as we expect, but it's very early to say that. For sure, it helps a lot. either for administration purposes or for evaluation purposes. So I see it happening.
Also for frauds.
Also for frauds, yes, I agree with you. Maybe time is early, but I'm sure that in the next 2, 3, 4 years, sooner or later, it will be part of our daily life. That's for sure.
Your turn.
Yeah, I probably don't have the biggest insight into the actual operations of a crewing agent or a crewing office, but two things I've heard and seen. At this conference last year, for example, there was a company who had developed artificial intelligence assisted crew change software that looked extremely nice. I think that was called Grey Wing or something like that. Grey Wing, right? Yeah. The other thing I've seen use of artificial intelligence is as a kind of an assistant on board. You have your own private GPT version, you can say. You load all your safety manuals and your instructions into this. Then the crew can ask normal language questions. How do I handle this situation? And it will come up with the response. Instead of a normal frequently asked questions in the manual where you can't really find the right question that fits your requirements. You can really make an intelligent assistant.
Nice, so it will be a nice solution.
I know I've seen it. It's a big offshore operator in Dubai. Did this.
Great.
This question is it's a nice question, but for sure we are going to have different opinions, and that's good. For example, for me, it's absolutely no. I'm talking on behalf of myself, not the company of someone else. I don't accept to lose the fight with a crucial crew department. We're discussing many years, and still we don't know what is going on with crew. I mean, we still don't know what they need. They need free internet, they need better food, they need less duration for their contracts. Actually, we have no idea. So, in my mind, to establish an AI, it's something that, let's say, to transfer the responsibility from us. This is how I get it in my mind. I don't know how the algorithm will work with the human factor. And keep in mind that seamen, except masters and chief engineers and bosun and cooks, they still have the let's say they are still people. They are human, and their job is a lonely job. So if we remove our human daily impact to them, it's going to be worse. They already feel alone. They already feel that we don't care about them. I think if we put this kind of technology, at least now, we are going to lose the game. For sure, in the future, it's going to be very helpful. I don't know if we are ready yet.
This technology, for your information, can be customized and can be learned per company. It's not a vague one.
Of course. But keep also in your mind that there are many companies and many colleagues that still working in the office with Excel forms. We avoid to use a software because this is something new and I don't like. So I am 100% confident that it's going to help in the future. I don't know if we are ready to do. I feel like we have a speed with 100 kilometers and we have no brakes. We feel very hurried to do everything. We ask the crew to be ready. We put many inspections, many vettings. We put all the welfare items together. We have the technology all together in one day.
You know that the new inspections area too, they are based on AI.
I know.
So this is going to be a problem.
For sure.
We need the training for this one also.
Your turn.
Sorry too. I fully agree with Captain Sokratis. What I have to add here is that we can have some good results in the scheduling or even on training with AI. I don't know in the future what is going to happen and what are the benefits will be. We need to see that, but my main idea is similar to Captain Sokratis.
Maria?
AI can be used in crew management, as per my opinion, only to analyze the soft and hard skills, predict behaviors, and enhance decision-making to the crew managers. One of the primary reasons for resistance to AI adoption is the fear of job loss, or the perception that employees can be replaced. However, in the shipping industry, the AI could be used only supplementary, as we have to deal with the human factor.
In order to go to the question 2, allow me to make also my own statement. I believe artificial intelligence, it's a technology. Technology is like a knife. The knife was invented to cut your food, but some people took it and stabbed other people. So it's how you use the technology, I believe, and because I'm working on AI to our cloud ecosystem, what we use, for example, there are tools, AI tools, that they recognize the stamps of the EMEA, for example. We have found a lot of falsified documents that the human eye and the best expert and the best crew manager with experience of 20 years cannot identify because he's not a computer. So we have identified a lot of falsified documents because of AI tools we use, and we use around 9 concerning only documents. So now artificial intelligence goes and develops various. Everybody thinks artificial intelligence is ChatGPT and all the other AIs that are out are in order to give them data and make your data into phrases so the human can understand. This is their, and that's why they are called large language models. So they give you these tools, and various companies are now making tools around this basic structure in order to guide and use. I believe, for example, what you said about the ISM for the seafarer to ask, it's cost saving, because I have seen on board ships manuals 1,800 pages, and suddenly you have a call from the operations department, and then the captain has to go to the manual, see the table of contents, 2 minutes, another 5 minutes to find the page, etc., etc. So if you have such tools, it will help also and the communication, etc. But however, as I said, I believe that this depends on how you use the technology and the AI. So my second question is new rules, processes, regulations, amended ISM control documents, as you were saying previously, new prerequisites by the flag states, also by the vetting, OKIMF. Now dry BMS comes to populate the bulk industry and act as the tanker industry. All this end up requiring the seafarer to tackle the rising liabilities and obligations, amending and adding further processes to each seafarer's job description. How you believe this will end in the future, if there is a fear that we will see seafarers exiting from the seafaring job, and how all these prerequisites by vetting inspectors, flag inspectors, port state control inspectors will end up, because as we see, it starts populating faster than in the past. So what's your opinion? How you see the future, and what you believe would be the remedy?
Kostas, only to listen to your question, yeah. I got anxious.
Yes. But this is the reality.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this happens, and it's happening over the last years. I mean, we see and we know that our industry is over-regulated. We ask from people to be not Superman. Somebody said before about Superman. Well, Superman doesn't know how to load.
NASA guys.
Well, NASA guys doesn't know how to load, discharge, stripping, so we are even better than them. Anyway, what I want to say is that we should not forget what is the main purpose. Purpose of the seafarer is to get the vessel from point A to point B in a safe manner. This is the only thing they have to do. The rest, like assessments, inspections, and everything, comes second, not because they are not important, but we have to focus always what is the main important role of the seafarer.
Another is operating, another is reporting the operating.
Exactly. So something that I think we should also do is to make seafarers feel that they are part of the solution, not part of the problem. Okay. This means that we should not overload them with regulations, lengthy messages, emails that they have to implement with no explanation. We should not expect them to act like scientists. So companies, unfortunately, have to filter out everything, what comes new, what is the next step, what is new, etc., and provide only the useful information to the seafarers to remain focused on what is the main purpose. Point A to point B in a safe manner. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, let's say, a manual for dummies and not a manual for NASA guys, as we're saying.
Exactly.
You're there?
Yeah.
Based on your clients, what do you hear?
Yeah, I can say that from what I hear, I think digitalization and digital transformation is something that can help ease the burden on seafarers. I mean, it doesn't make sense that you have to report to 10 different instances, to institutions when you go to port, the same data. And you have to prepare 10 different forms for this data. It should be managed by a system. They should be electronically available, and you should push a button, and then you have the data that you need for the vetting, and for the port authorities, for the P&I, and for the cargo owner, and for your ship manager.
So unification of the reporting style. Yeah, but this I don't think we will die and will not say it, because the port state controls don't want to have
I think there's a lot of interest there, but to me it's the only logical way to ease the burden, to get rid of all these duplicate activities.
Sokratis.
It's not going to be easy. I mean, there is already shortage to the crew. We need thousands of seamen. So I think there is not going to be any improvement. Actually, the new discussion on the table is that probably after 20 or 30 years, we are not going to have capable people to transfer from vessel to the office. It looks that the situation on board maybe is this, and we have to live with all the difficulties. The other thing is that the shipping companies does not create the regulations. We just try to comply with the regulations. So the third parties that have all these requirements, number 1, number 2, number 3, and etc., these have to do a conference like this. Okay, we discuss how we will handle their requirements. So
and also, sorry, some requirements they contradict.
Yes.
Of one vetting.
Correct. So the shipping companies, I agree, we have to filter the things but we cannot leave many things outside, because we have one regulation from the port state control, another from flag, another from class, another from vetting. So we create a mountain.
And now you have the CO2, which is also the next panel that discuss about the ESG requirements, etc., that nobody is prepared.
Yes. So we try to comply with this. We have to give thousands of information to the crew. We have to destroy their mind. There is no other solution. If we destroy their mind, we will have unhappy crew.
So autonomous ships.
If we don't have, if we don't destroy,
ships,
you will be detained. That's all. You will be detained at the port.
Yeah.
If you don't destroy their mind, you will have a detained vessel. That's all. This is the truth.
Yeah. Nikos.
Well, I think the world is changing. We evolve. It's a dynamic business, shipping, so I believe that it's unavoidable to go there, AI and applications like this. I believe that it all starts from the initial and basic education that the cadets should receive. So I believe it's a basic consideration, to move like this. The cadets should receive this education as soon as they enter the academies, the maritime academies. So I don't know how it will end. For sure, there is a big shortage on crew members right now, and I believe that these reasons create a bigger mess.
Mario?
We must enhance the seamanship, and we must show to the new generation what the proficient seaman is. The proficient seaman creates a culture of awareness, safety, and confidence in the crew and the operation of the vessel at all times. Seamanship involves leading, teaching, managing, navigating, and maintaining all aspects of the operation and activity aboard the vessel. Seafarer education should continue, and we must remaining up to date with the latest industry regulation liabilities in both technologies and methodologies, while is providing seafarers with the necessary knowledge and skills for their future.
Correct. So, if anybody wants, the questions are finished. If anybody wants to ask, can we have here one microphone?
First of all, excellent performance. Thank you very much for sharing your points of view. Just a statement, and it has to do with what David started the conversation. In regards to your question, you said that it's scary and it's not fair, actually, to change the mind of the seafarer, and that actually a captain couldn't agree with that. Well, the thing is that we don't want to change the mind of the seafarer or the people in general. What we want to do is to care for their mind, their mental health. But what we need to do is to change their behavior. That's why all manuals, OEC, IMF, talks about behavior assessment, verification, clarification, and so on. So, according to the science of behavior of change, we need to change behavior because it's measurable, observable, so therefore we can change it in terms of safety, safe operations. So let's put it in simple words. It's like when we have visitors in our house, we have our own rules, so they have to respect those rules. Same way, employees and seafarers, shipping executives, must have a proper behavior in order to coordinate and to perform and contribute to the organization performance. So that's all. Thank you.
Correct.
We'll have another question.
Good morning. Thank you very much for your presentations. My question is about the risk, as I'm a finance people. So you discuss about the risk that the seafarers can take or accept and it will be accept and reaction in case of danger. So you know that every individual has two kinds of risk factors. The first, which wants to be take for the company of the vessel, and the second one, that individual endures according to his or her personality. As for most companies, can recognize the levels of it or other soft skills? Do you believe that it's risky for your company not to know this level of risk before the sign-on of the seafarers, and with whatever that means for the financial results of the company? Thank you.
Mr. Patiniotis, can you hear me? Yeah. Mr. Patiniotis, very nice question, and it has to do mainly with risk management, as you said. And I believe that there are tools nowadays, like the lady that I'm going to present, Chrysula Patriciou, afterwards, that there are soft skills measured prior. For example, when you are selecting a new seafarer that you don't know him. He worked in other companies. This is the problem, because the ex-crew seafarer, you have documented evidence, you have whatever. So I believe you have to have tools like PeliNet, for example, or e-learning methods, or psychometrics like IMEC, for example, that does psychometric tests. You have to use these tools for many reasons. One reason is to prove that you did your job correct. From my point of view, as a crew manager, I have to prove to my ship managers that I did all the scrutiny with the best tools that exist in the market, and then the competence evaluation system, as we all know. So you just check boxes on this, but using these kind of tools that they are innovative, they are proven to work and scrutinize and minimize the risks. And then these tools can be used also and for on board, because when you want to promote a seafarer, if he's even ex-crew of yours, you don't know if he possesses the skills to be promoted. Am I correct? Yeah. Yes, correct. Yeah, this is what I'm saying, because these tools are not only for scrutinizing and identifying riskful, let me say, seafarers or crazy seafarers, because nobody in the past had, for example, the IMEC tool to see if the seafarer is crazy. From the time we, as Elvictor, used their tool, it scrutinized, and we found many seafarers that we were going to accept in the past, but we didn't accept because they had problems in the behavior. So you cannot employ a psychiatrist or a psychologist and this in your business in order to deal with all these thousands of seafarers. So you need tools in order to gain time, accuracy, and documented evidence. So I believe that those tools that I mentioned are helpful for...
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
May I introduce? You introduce?
No, I need you to get your microphones away. And please, thank you very much. Give a big round of applause to the gentleman and the lady here. So, before we move to the next speaker, Yanni, may I have the slide with the app, please, if possible? On your agenda, on the back side of your agenda, there is a QR